Great to be with y'all. Not as many folks today. Where's that band? Vacation? Huh? Daggone. Well, our press conference is always on Monday. Is that right, Ryan? Always. He's here every time.
Informants are here.
Gotcha. I understand that. But after watching the film, again, proud of our kids, the way we played in the game, responded to some things in the game. Like I say, we need to start better on offense. And like I say, as we look back on the film, it was an accumulation of things. One, maybe a fullback, maybe a tight end, maybe a guard, maybe just a few little things out of whack, and then had some critical penalties which set us back. We had three. We had the clipping off the bat with Izzo. Then we had one by Jalen Ramsey. We had great field position. We had another one by LaMarcus Brutus. And all those pinned us back in field position, and we didn't overcome them as well. I had the big run by Dalvin, was about the only thing we had. He had a couple opportunities in the first half, and just guy missed a block, guy missed a little bit of everything. But then how we responded at halftime offensively, very pleased. Guys took the adjustments. Guys got their feet back on the ground. Wasn't vast things we did. We just got things explained, went out and executed and scored every time we had the football and ran the football, threw the football. Everett looked like two different people. I think it was 11 for 15 in the second half. Had a really nice touchdown throw. Of course, Dalvin continued to run the ball really well, move the ball really well. Defensively, first half, thought we did a real good job. Thought we played really good, give up the one little play down the sideline, but had a great red zone stand, got a pick, saved points. After the punt, they returned back. They tackled well, got good pressure on the quarterback, had 3 sacks in the game, kept good contain on a really athletic quarterback. He didn't get outside. The second half, they had the one, got to roll the trick play kind of down the sideline. They hit, which was a good play by them. And but I thought we played pretty well. I thought Giorgio played well. Again, he was our player of the game on defense. Of course, Dalvin was on offense. I thought Marquez played well. Jalen had his normal game. You saw Roderick Hoskins jump up and really make some nice plays, and he's really developing, adding a lot of depth to our linebacker core. Feel very comfortable with him. Up front, Niall played another pretty solid game. Sweat's getting better and better. Derek Nottie had a good solid. Just good play. Trey Marshall adjusting after Brutus got ejected from the game to go back and make all the calls and do everything in the secondary. Bringing Tyler Hunter in, did a really nice job. Felt very comfortable with that. I thought Derwin came in when he came in and played well. I thought Roberto kicked the ball well, had one kickoff a little bit off, but we got to cover a little better on those kickoffs. We're getting across lane and eye violation. In other words, getting out of a lane one time, almost give him a return, but Roberto kicked it really well. Field goals were good. Again, the kickoff return game I thought set the tone for the second half. That was huge, getting a big return coming out. I thought Bobo did a great job of getting to every punt, fielding every punt. And Kaysen had 2 bad punts. He had the one which was down the middle of the return, which should have been tackled right there as soon as he caught it. We missed a tackle. But at the same time, he kicked it in the middle, needed to kick it to the right. The other 5 were pretty good. He had one other low one. But he's got to get better at what he's doing, too, and continue to get there. But overall, faced the adversity. Like what I saw our kids responded in the second half, played really hard. And, again, I told you, South Florida had good players. They had good players. They were coached well. Athletic, and they knew it was going to be a tough challenge. And then we overcame rain, overcame a lot of things. So we went through some adversity, and we're going to need to going on the road playing a very, very good Boston College team. Let's say it's giving up a point and a half a game, less than 50 yards a game. They're scoring on offense. They're doing the same things they do on offense, doing the same things they do on defense, and they're really well coached. And it will be a great game on Friday night. And we'll have to really play well. Questions?
What do you remember about that game 2 years ago?
Who's that woman?
What do you remember about that game 2 years ago that you guys just won again? Obviously that doesn't affect it.
2 years ago, no, we won it more at the end. We kind of got control in about the middle of the third quarter and stayed ahead. We got ahead of that. We were down 17-3 and then come back and we're up 24-17 a half, and it was a battle throughout most of the half. And we ended up winning, I think, 48-34, I think it was. But that they're going to play real hard. They're coached really well. They're athletic. They're deceiving. Everybody talks about them being big and strong, but you're deceivingly athletic. They run on the edge as well. They in the secondary play a lot of man coverage, then a lot of 2 traps and the different looks they have. They blitz you, they pressure you. Offensively, they give you a lot of different looks. Can run the ball with good skill guys, and then they'll sneak and they take those throws down the field and get you. And it's a tough place to play. They're well coached. It's going to be a great environment.
Dalvin, over the last 4 games, he has 2 games of 30-plus carries, and then I look back between the players you had here before Dalvin and even back to LSU, only twice had any of your running backs rushed 30 times in a game. What makes Dalvin unique where you're comfortable giving him 30 carries?
Look at the results. And also body. I asked him yesterday, how you feel? He said, Coach, I feel fine. Some guys, can't take that wear and tear. His body feels really good. And it wasn't planned to go give him 30. It was just how the game went, and he was making plays in a big critical game at critical times. We wanted to give Mario more, but, when he got that hot, in a big game, just like he did the other one. I think was the ACC championship game, if I'm not mistaken. But it doesn't bother him. I mean, he can go, and we don't plan on doing that all the time, but we'll do it if we definitely have to. And he's got to get his touches in the game, and when he's hot like that and he can finish, we're going to keep giving it to him.
As a coach, like in baseball, I know they have pitch counts. Do you have like touch counts for running backs, or do you just go by?
No, we do. We want to, unless the guy gets really hot. It's like throwing the ball. You may go in and say, we're going to throw it 20, 25 times, maybe 30 times a game, and all of a sudden they can't defend it. We may throw it 40 or 45. But the game, you got to be able to change your game plan as you go. You can't go in and say this is scripted. I mean, because sports that are scripted, that's a movie. Sports aren't scripted. You got to play by ear. You got to play by guts. You got to let things happen and do it. And if it was a movie, we'd replay them. Okay, and get a redo on that. But you don't get that. But just is kind of how it goes. But we do. We want guys. We want Mario to get a few more touches. But just the way the game went, it was just a different deal.
Based on how the GPS ratings look, would you scale him back in practice at all?
Now, I'm going to tell you what, his GPS ratings wasn't that high. That shows you the condition he's in. That shows you the great condition he's in. It wasn't any higher than it was the last game, believe that or not. I mean, it was like it was very minimal, so it's not even, it kind of shocked me. You know what I'm saying? But again, to me, that's a great attribute to how well a conditioned athlete he is.
Jimbo, on the offensive line, from the center spot to the right, how secure are the starters?
Very.
Very?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any freshmen who might have the potential to be a Rod Johnson of this year as far as stepping in?
In time, if we get some guys healthy, I think Cole Minshew's got a great thing. I think Mavity, when he gets healthy, has a chance to all those guys to help and build depth and across the board. We want as many of those as we could possibly have, and Derek Kelly. We were going to start to put Derek in a few times, and we didn't want to break the continuity once we got rolling in the second half. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to break that, but Derek's ready to play and can play just as quickly.
Well, how much of a disadvantage, I guess, is it that they've played Maine, and how much can you get out of that film watching them play somebody like Howard when they give up 11 yards of total offense?
Yeah, I mean, but you still get to see formations and what they do. I mean, and you look at their players. A lot of the guys, especially on the defensive front seven, have been there the last 3 years we played them. So it's a lot of the same guys. I mean, they've lost a few. They haven't lost very many. Secondary guys is one returning starter, too. So from that standpoint on defense, you can. Offensive, they've rolled some people over some more. They lost a lot of their offensive linemen and some of those things. But you can still judge what's going on.
When you guys played Boston College these last 2 years, did they do anything significantly different for the game against you that you hadn't seen?
The first time they did. Mm-hmm. The first time. See, last year, I thought we defended them pretty well. I mean, they got some points. It was just a rain game. We only had the ball 8 times. And our drives were very methodical in that game. Boom, boom. We scored 4 out of 8, I believe it was. Had the opportunity to hit it. We missed a field goal once and had an interference call one time I thought they missed. But other than that, I think it was just a very methodical game, more like a pro game. In other words, you had limited possessions, and they moved the ball, did some things, and even they'd move it, punt it, we had to drive the long field the whole game. You know what I mean? It was very much like a pro football game when you watch last year's game. The first year, the unbalanced looks and all this stuff and the hurry, no huddle, they up-tempoed you a lot at home, and they'll do that more at home. That was something we hadn't seen. Remember the first half till we got adjusted on a couple of those runs, and they got up 17-3 on us up there that year. But I'm sure they'll have something. Yeah, I mean, that's what good coaches do. I mean, they'll do something there, and but that first year was more of not seeing something than really last year. Last year we played them pretty well defensively.
Under an Adazio coach team, you almost had a few pretty big near upsets at Temple. He upset USC last year.
Yeah, he beat USC up there. Oh, no doubt.
So
Clemson was 17-13 last year.
I think they had a touchdown in the end zone that would have won it for him.
Yep.
Is there anything that Adazio does specifically that has kind of lent him to?
Yeah, he understands the type of game and players he has. He lengthens the game. He gives them great opportunity with different looks, with different formations, the unbalanced looks. They stay very physical. They're very well coached. Defensively, they're aggressive, but they don't give up the big plays. You know what I'm saying? So they make you be methodical as you drive down the field, and they lengthen the game, shorten your possessions, and that allows them to do what they do. And but at the same time, they're dynamic. Steve does a heck of a job. I think he's a heck of a football. He's a great guy, too. I really like him.
Is there anything particularly challenging about a Friday, or is it just kind of like a Thursday with another game?
Well, just depending on your time. Your day earlier. And if it was Thursday, it'd be 2 days earlier. We haven't had one of those on a quick, short week in a while. But having a day early does make a difference in how we practice and having to make I'm having to do some decisions. What I thought I wanted to do, but then I had to read GPS and what we'll do, and and kind of gauge this thing. It's still uncharted territories, but for the most part, we had a pretty good feel on it.
Touch more on that GPS. Is a week like this when it really comes in handy, when you can kind of adjust on the fly?
It comes in handy every week. I don't mean that, but it does. I mean, it really does. And now it just makes you have to question how much work, because you got to get enough work with enough rest. You know what I'm saying? And that's the question. Good thing it's early in the year, so the guys ought to be still pretty fresh.
Jimbo, when the offensive line had trouble with some stunts and blitzes, was that all on them, or?
No, a couple times he took a sack one time. It wasn't on him either. The receiver didn't break it off, and he went to throw it, and the guy didn't do it, so he got hit. One time, we had one earlier that we did a tackle set out on the wrong guy usually, and we double blocked the guy and had a chance for a one-on-one post for a wide open touchdown, and we just overset. I'm trying to think. One time we got on a twist. We had held the ball just a hair longer. And I think once he did, I mean, it's kind of a combination of both. You know what I mean? A little bit of everybody. And that's how offense is. Again, it's just, put it this way, if one note in a song is off, you can tell it. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same song. And that's kind of how offense is. You got to have them all clicking at the same time.
It seemed like the last couple of years, you guys, if you got behind the chains, you could make big plays. Is it a little tougher to make those big plays right now?
It has, I mean, we did the first game. This game, because of the down and distance and the field position and the type of game, and also the weather conditions, that was also something you had to factor in too. The rain, the wet, some of those things also made you a little cautious to do things. And as they said, we're learning each other. But we'll still be able to do that, I think.
Jimbo, Casher and Featherston, any chance he'll be back this week?
Casher, hopefully he won't practice today. We're hoping he'll either practice tomorrow or the next day and be able to go. We'll wait and see. Featherston, probably not this week, but we're hoping it looks real good. He's really starting to come around, hopefully after the break.
How did Izzo respond on Sunday?
Good. He's a little sore, but he was fine. He went out and practiced and did everything. I mean, as far as the running, stretching, strides, that stuff.
There were a couple of non-calls by the officials, and specifically on Dalvin's horse collar, Mario's helmet coming off, that the referees didn't see. What kind of explanation did you give about that?
Didn't see it. And the other one, we missed it. So.
They didn't see the helmet pop off?
Well, I guess they didn't see the horse collar. They said, guys, both of them said they didn't see that and didn't see the, because he didn't go down. But still, if you grab a guy, to me, that's the same thing. Because he buckled him, and then, but it was see, and then they just missed it. What they said on the helmet. So saw a lot of other things.
After the game, did you get a chance to look at the targeting calls, the replays, and?
A little, and I can see it on this thing, the TV I got to look at. I mean, he's going to hit the guy. I wish he should shoulder the guy. As he went in, he tried to hit him in the shoulder, and when the guy lowered his shoulder, his head hit him in the side. I mean, it was not an intentional targeting, because when guys move, but legally if they call it, you call it. I mean, and we've got to use better technique. I mean, we don't want anybody to get hurt, and I don't ever want that to happen, and we don't teach that. So it was kind of close, but if it is, it is.
Before we take any calls, somebody on there needs to mute their phone. I can hear you in the background. Tom D'Angelo?
Not me. Hey, Jimbo.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, a little bit more, Dalvin. He started doing this late last year. So was there a point last year when a guy coming in as a freshman, he just kind of needs to get used to more of a workload as the year went on?
Well, I think that, and also assignments and comfort level in the program, what you're doing, how you're going to call things, blocking schemes, proving that to yourself that you can go out there on the field and do this. And if it happens once, well, it does it twice, three. Oh, maybe I am pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they all think they're good, but still there's an adjustment time. I don't care what you say, and I just think he just keeps feeling more comfortable with what he's doing.
Do you get to a point where at times you're like, I got to get Mario in there? I mean,
no, we have a rotation to get Mario in there, and we have every game. This last game we didn't because, see, the thing about it, we want to get so many attempts for him first, for Dalvin first. It usually happens in the first couple series, and then we get Mario right in there. But we were 3 and out. And then with long period of time between. So, and that's why he didn't get as many early. And then all of a sudden, Dalvin gets hot in that second half, and we didn't want to take it out of his hand, and that's kind of the way it went. But we're going to get Mario touches, and we have plans to get him touches, no doubt. Mario's doing a great job.
So lastly, is it kind of like the third series? Is it kind of, you look at it and say, I'd like to get in there the third series?
Yeah, third series, unless there's been 4, 5, or 6 carries in a row. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how long that first drive goes. I mean, you get 3 or 4 or 5 touches right there, and then all of a sudden you want to get it swapped over.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Matt, go ahead.
Hey, Jimbo. I was muted too, so I think I'm good. So it's a little bit kind of out of left field, but how do you balance? You're a fiery guy, so how do you balance as a coach getting your point across on the sidelines with not overstepping a boundary and being too harsh?
That's called coaching every day. Sometimes you're harsh if you want to get a point across, and sometimes you don't. Depends on the kid, depends on the situation, depends on the moment. I mean, you can be behind at halftime. I can go in and be mad. You can be behind at halftime. I can go in and be happy. Depends on the situation. Depends on the moment. That's called coaching and managing people. Whatever you think you need to do to get the job done.
Do you ever worry about overstepping, kind of stepping over a line and getting too harsh?
I always do. But at times, and if I feel like I do, I go back to a kid and say, something, I probably got on you too hard. I have no problem saying that. I probably challenge you too much. I got on you too much. Do that all the time. I mean, if I feel like I've done something wrong or have a problem with it, tell those kids anytime. They can come talk to me anytime. We have a great relationship with our guys in that regard. Big time. It's like a parent. Sometimes I've had my dad whip me and then come hug me 30 minutes later and say, I didn't want to do that, but I had to do that. This is why I did. Or I tell them why I did it. You know what I'm saying? To understand the big picture why you do things, if you do it that way. They're kids. You're a parent.
Chris, you want to go ahead?
Yes. Hey, Jimbo, talk about Golston. Did he just struggle on Saturday with the rain and all that stuff, or did you see improvement of him this week against Boston College? He played with them against Boston College last year. So do you see any improvement this week coming up, hopefully?
Yeah. Hey, I thought he played really well the second half. Came out and went 11 for 15. And we played well on offense. For him to come back with 157 yards and a touchdown, 11 to 15 in the second half, I was extremely proud and saw that he can come out when we're not playing as well, come back in the second half and play extremely well.
And talk about playing against Boston College. I know the coach, Steve, is familiar playing against Florida State because he was a Gator coach. Mm-hmm. So what does he bring to the game? He's a good coach up there in Boston College. So just talk about that game Friday night.
Oh, it's going to be a very tough game. I mean, they're going to be well prepared. They do. They run the ball. They're very physical, but at the same time create a lot of eye violations for you with their offense and boots and nakeds and getting the ball down the field defensively. Very big, strong, much more athletic than people think. Cover well in man coverage, play a lot of two, mix their coverages, pressure the quarterback, great on special teams. I mean, they do it all. It'll be a great ball game. They always play us very well. And it's a conference opponent. I always say this. I mean, when you get in a conference, teams get used to playing you every year. There's no fact. It's just, hey, this is part of what we do every year, and they get comfortable playing you. And we get comfortable playing them. And that's why anything can happen in conference games. That's why they're always so up and down.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier that Everett looked like two different people, first half, second half.
Whole offense did.
So how much of that, though, is Everett, him calming down in the second half, and how much is it the guys around him kind of helping?
I don't say this, but really both. I mean, that's doing what we had to do. Say Bobo catches that one ball. Or the first naked we get a clip, we gain 9 yards, and all of a sudden we get a first down, we get that momentum going, he drives, or Bobo catches that next ball and we go down, and you don't know where that goes. You know what I'm saying? So as a group, it just set us back. And I think it's both his maturity and being able to relax at halftime and go back to his fundamentals and make good reads. And I thought he picked up the blitz, got the ball out on bubbles, quick passes, checks out, and saw their blitzes. And, I mean, did a real nice job in the second half, was very accurate and very efficient, hit some big third down throws in the second half and, did what he had to do.
When you see him being able to kind of calm down, like you said, how encouraging is that going forward to know he can kind of isolate that bad first half and grow on it?
It's great because I, never coaching him before. You don't know how they're going to react in that situation. And it was very pleasing to watch, that's for sure.
After 2 games, I know it's still a small sample size, but where do you think he's at with this offense and progressing?
I think he feels good about it. I think he understands things. We just got to continue to all the little details of things and the nuances of it, and also recognizing things just quicker and quicker. And I think he's doing that, and I thought he's about where I thought he would be.
A lot of the players that say after the game they just wanted to have more of a sense of urgency at the start of this game. So how do you balance that with just feeling out the pace of the game?
Well, I mean, you that's part of maturing. I don't. You talk to them about it, and you got to be quick, but don't hurry. That's what they got to understand. That's a term I learned a long time. It's an old John Wooden term. You got to be quick. You got to have urgency. But the thing you can't worry about is someone else. You got to worry about yourself and understand who you are and what it takes for you to get ready to play every time you play.
But do you think Kaysen, you said he only had 2 bad punts, do you think Kaysen's getting into a better...
Hopefully he is. But, I mean, the misses, when he misses, once you miss, we directional punt. So when you miss, you can't miss in different places, and that's what those things are. And a couple line drives, and you can't do that. You cannot do. The rest of them, he had 5 of them, 40 yards and over 4-0 hang, which is exactly what we want. And because you don't want to outkick the coverage either. You don't want to go kick them 50, but guys can get back and return those too. You want to kick in that 40 to 44, 42, 44 range and get over 4-0 hang and be able to get there and be more consistent.
Jalen gets a lot of attention, but it looks like Marquez was playing really well on the other side.
Doing a real good job, and letting people know that, because he's going to get tested over there. So, what I like too, the physicality, beating blocks, making tackles, along with playing the ball down the field. I've always said this. Now, Marquez is an extremely, extremely talented young guy, and he's never been a sole football guy until now. He's always been a basketball, football guy back and forth, even the first year here because he played with the team. And getting him out there and really learning what his potential is fun.
He said on his interception, he said that he knew when they put the 6'5" guy out there, they're probably going to be coming at him and adjusted accordingly. Is that mental side something that he's pretty good at?
Well, it is, and just instincts for the game and figuring, hey, they're going to put a big guy out here. They ain't going to put that big guy out here to stand out here. You know what I mean? And just your instincts for the game, and he played it very well. It was a really good play.
For Derek Hoskins, you touched on him a little bit earlier. When he's kind of doing his thing, what can he bring to this defense?
Athleticism, size, length, coverage skills, pass game, tackles in space very well. Good size, 233, 234 pounds. I mean, he brings it, and then more depth to help Reggie and those guys, because like I say, it's like with Dalvin and all those other guys, it's a lot of snaps, so we're able to split up and play on defense. And also, if we have injuries, you got guys you feel very comfortable putting in the game.
With that being his first real extended playing time at the first team defense, how did he kind of respond, just demeanor-wise, out there on the field?
Probably was our runner-up for Player of the Week. We didn't give it to Georgia, probably would give it to him. He was a close second. His production points on what he did. And it's no knock on anybody else. He's just playing well. The light's starting to really come on.
How's Reggie and his knee going?
Good. Been fine. His health is good. He's playing. No.
Was the weather any part of the drop passes?
No, we only hit. No, I don't think so. I mean, you got to play in weather. We practice in that stuff. I mean, we go practice in that rain and do those things, and that's part of it. I mean, you got to make those. It really wasn't but one or two, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there? Wasn't a lot of drop passes, I don't think. I can only think of one right now off the top of my head, and that was Bobo and low hit. He pulled his head off of it trying to.
I guess Javon's got broken up.
A couple in travel.
No, I tell you, Ehrman could have made a nice catch on that go.
Yeah.
Javon, what was Javon's?
Across the middle?
Yeah, that was a bad throw, though. I don't blame that on him. I don't put that on him. He shouldn't have been thrown, should have thrown it. He should have set out wider and hit it out wide and really should have worked the tight end on the dig.
What about Saunders in the end zone corner?
Who?
Maven.
Now, I would like to, I think in another 2-3 weeks, he'll make that catch. I really do. I thought that ball was really well thrown where we could get it. No one could get it with size in the corner. Again, I thought that was another maturity play of him in the second half, and I think Maven will make that catch in the future. You know what I mean? I think it was a tough catch, but I think as he grows and gets to play more and his confidence grows, he'll make that catch. I've seen him make it a ton of times in practice. Y'all want it more than I am, see? I'm tougher on the quarterbacks. Y'all tougher on the receivers.
Is Maven a guy that just needs to make that first catch?
Yeah, he just needs to go out there and play and keep playing. He's going to play. I mean, it's just that young. He's a redshirt freshman. I have tremendously high hopes for him. I think he's going to be an outstanding player. I really do. It's just all part of maturity. He's got to be patient. You can't. He's got to let it happen.
Something Roger Johnson said after the game was, with us, it was more, we need to follow through with the technique. It was nothing the coaches did. It was all on us. What's it like for you to hear from a player like him that, these kids kind of understand what they need to do right, and if there's this acceptance of it's our fault, not anyone else's? That's really good, and it's very mature of them to think that way, because what happens is you know your assignment, and all of a sudden things start to go, and you forget all about those techniques. You got to do them over and over and over and over, where learned behavior becomes habit. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes those young guys are just not there yet, and when they get a stunt, they worry about the result too much instead of staying true to the process. And that's part of being young and how you do things, and that's part of our growing. That we have to grow, and we have to, if there's 10 of those in the game, we got to cut them down to 7. Then we got to cut them down to 3. Then we got to eliminate them, and that's just a process we got to go through.
Roderick also said after the game that he thought that you needed to work on getting a quicker start in these games. How do you do that? Well,
I have the urgency to get yourself ready to play, but also have confidence. Don't worry about, sometimes when you're young, you're about, okay, I don't go out there and mess up. You know what I'm saying? You can't worry. The glass is either half empty or half full. It's always got to be half full. You can't play that way. And I think that's just where some of those guys do. And last week we did. We had a fast start. You know what I'm saying? This week, just had a penalty right off the bat. Had to, just set ourselves back, and sometimes trying too hard. A couple of those were just trying too hard, wanting to do too much, and got to play a little smarter.
Jimbo, after struggling in that first half, did you find yourself having to talk a lot to Everett, or since he's an older guy, you don't really let the younger guy?
No matter. I want to get the feedback, what he's seeing, what he's feeling, where he's at. No different than I would at any other time, young or old.
Dalvin said at halftime that you came in and just told him to have fun, and he said it was something he'd never forget. What was that conversation like there?
Well, again, because what I said before. I mean, you can go in there and we didn't play well, and I can be mad, but what does that do?
We got to improve. We got to fix the problem. We got to relax here. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Now we got to go enjoy doing it. Football's a tough game. Go enjoy playing the game. Don't worry about the results. Don't worry about this and that. Go play the play one at a time. And that's why you lift all them weights, run all those sprints. Go out there and have fun and execute what you do. And that's something that you got to do. You got to play this game without any fear. You can't worry about the results. You can't worry about winning. You got to worry about playing. And that's a totally different mindset. And that's what we got them back to in that halftime. And that's kind of the quote right there with Matt. Sometimes, and there's other times you may even be ahead, and you can come in there and be upset because, the temperament of the team is right for that. But at that time it wasn't, and that's what they needed, in my opinion, and we had to help them. That was our job to help them.
Defense is around 17% on third down. Is that where you expected them to be through 2 games? Or are you
No, 0. I wanted them all shut out.
Up on the quarterbacks and the defense.
Exactly right. No. But, we emphasize, situational football. You can play well and have yards. We saw it all. You see it everywhere. But turning the ball over, getting turnovers, making third downs, getting off the field on third down, red zone, you scoring or you stopping scores in the red zone. You know what I mean? And then, again, taking care of that football. Those are key. And like I say, you can play game well situations poorly and lose. You can play the game poorly or very average and play situations very well and win a lot of games. And I think that's the one thing they're doing, getting off the field on third down is very critical. We put a lot of emphasis on that.
Jalen's already had a few pretty spectacular pass breakups. Did he get a finger on that one deep ball that looked like it was over his head?
I don't know. That's a good question. I couldn't tell on that right there. I don't know if he did or the guy, something happened to the ball. It might have, but he again, getting those long arms up there, even getting a hand in front of somebody's face can make a difference. I'm not sure if he did or not.
Do you think with his ability to jump and close, and it's hard for quarterbacks to...
And his length. Then and he's long on top of that. You know what I'm saying? It makes a big difference. And especially if you play little guys. They have trouble running, but the wingspan, just like receivers, big wingspan, big defense span the other way. It's huge.
I know you guys thought having Jalen would be to kind of take away the field. Do you see teams throwing away from him consistently? Can you kind of feel that?
Well, a couple teams that went at him because sometimes you want to go at a corner who's aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes they try to make plays and you can make plays on them. I think it'll be 6 one way, half dozen the other. I think you'll see both and both depending on each team.
With so much spread, is that even really a thing anymore to be able to take away half the field?
Yeah, how you can protect other guys though.
Right.
When you can lock a guy up and help a guy, it makes a big difference.
Going back to targeting for a second, 9 players in FBS games ejected.
That's the most I can ever remember. Last year, I don't remember that happening nearly as much.
You think it's just a fluke this week, or are officials going to watch that closer?
No, I don't think they're watching it closer. I think it was more a fluke and just had those hits. You got a lot of emotional games and kids trying to play. And I don't know. Because they watched it last year. That was a huge emphasis last year, and we didn't have a lot. And we got to keep going back as coaches and re-emphasizing that too.
Can you legislate something like intent? Obviously, LaMarcus wasn't trying to lead with his helmet. It seemed like the kid's helmet almost hit his. But
I know.
It's just the letter of the law that he...
I think you have to when you're going with player safety. Right. I understand that from their standpoint. That way, if for a young person doing it, if there's any doubt, you just don't do it. And that's what we're trying to get across. And we all want to keep this game around for a long time.
Do you think refs might call it?
But I think it's tough. I think it's extremely tough. I'm sorry.
Do you think refs might call it more because they have the advantage of looking at it and reviewing it and making the call right?
Maybe they will. That's a good point. I never thought. I think it depends on the person. I couldn't answer that really, but it's a good point.
Jimbo, it seemed like a lot of heavily favored teams struggle the second week. Is there something about that second week after you?
Well, you look forward to playing your first game. You're emotional. You want to do things. So then it's like, oh, okay, it's here. Well, maybe this ain't so bad. I get that relief syndrome. Oh, now this is but then you go back into a 1 week routine. It's the first time they've only had 1 week to get ready for a game. You know what I'm saying? So preparation time, young players, who you're playing in the third week. You know what I'm saying? I know that people don't want to hear, and I don't want to hear that. It doesn't matter. I don't even want to worry about this week. You know what I'm saying? But that's how people think. That's our society. That's what human beings do. That's what fans do. That's what writers do. Because y'all ask me, well, do you think this week would be tough with a big game coming up? No, wait a minute. How is this not a big game? Every game's a big game. So, well, that's a big loss. Well, a loss is a big loss. No loss is big till it happens. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, I think it's human nature to have to defend against that, and it's just, There could be a lot of reasons. But there was a lot of them. I mean, dadgum.
What do you think of Friday night games?
Listen, I mean, it's what we do. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not going to say I'm a fan of it. I mean, I'm a Saturday guy, period. I just think for the kids' benefit, the welfare of getting back, academic, the whole ball of wax and everything you do, and I think Friday nights are for high school football. I mean, I think that's one of our great things we have in this country. But at the same time, it is what it is. We're looking forward to going up there and playing. But, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm a huge component. I'm a fan of it. I'm not.
Well, it also speeds up the process, right? You have to, you
Well,
have to be doing a lot of stuff yesterday and the day
Oh,
before.
exactly right. And bodies recover for kids and extra travel during the week. I mean, there's a lot of things that, more days of school, all that. But football's not bad because you only have 4 or 5 away games a year anyway. You know what I'm saying? But still, I just think it's tough. I mean, and then sometimes those Thursdays, think about those guys play Saturday and play Thursday. I think that's very difficult. I mean, never say we'll do it in the NFL. Well, they're getting paid a lot of money to do it in the NFL.
One more question.
Did you watch James? Did you get to see any of that?
Some of it, not all of it. I didn't get to see it because we were having to cram to get ready. I talked to him the night before. It was, had some good moments, tough moments, but typical first game, threw a couple touchdowns, I believe, and a couple mistakes. But that's they got to keep getting better, and he will.
Cool for you though. Rashad caught a touchdown in the opening week.
Carlos scored. I heard about that.
Do you hear about that?
Yes, I do. The guys will come in. The GAs, because they're in there breaking the films down for the next week, they always got TVs on while they're doing that too, and they'll listen or something. I always tell them if they hear something, come tell me, or just they'll occasionally somebody walk by and I want to hear something, and they'll tell me. Makes me happy for them.
Thursday, what's the plan for Thursday if you guys get in town Wednesday night?
No, we'll get up and the kids will work on school in the morning. They'll get a little extra sleep, get in, but then they'll do all their schoolwork with our tutors and all that stuff and get all that stuff ironed out. And we actually get a lot of individual time that way, believe it or not, with our tutors and all the people, and they get their work done. And then we'll have our normal meetings we have on a Thursday. The big thing is 2 nights before is critical for sleep and rest and getting them out, getting them out together home, and you ain't got to get up because next morning you get up and packs early anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're up at 6:30 next morning packing, getting all your stuff to go, and you end up not getting as much rest. And we found out by going that way, our rest and bodies, and it's actually helped us in school as far as our assignments with our tutors and we bring all the academic folks with us. Been very, very efficient for us in all phases, not just for ball and academics and everything else that goes with it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all. Have a great day.